Hello, good afternoon, good morning, Jumbo, bonjour, comment ça va? From wherever part of Africa and the world you're joining us, welcome to the 360-degree brand story, where brands come alive one brush stroke at a time, a program by Akiko Stories, hosted by myself, Joe Mukoko, and always on the hot seat, my co-founder, Chesubire Greg. Akiko Stories is part of the African MSME Collective, a business advisory agency working with MSMEs across Africa to make sure that they not only set up right, but they are also able to scale and be sustainably successful. Sustainably successful, very important. And that is where Akiko Story comes in. Every 2 weeks, we hold this conversation to help the business leaders and their teams be able to grasp, crystallize, and action thoughts that they can use to make sure that their brands, products, services, teams are working together. So feel welcome, feel at home. Again, as I said, Joe Mukoko hosting 360-degree brand story, where brands come alive one brushstroke at a time. One of the biggest challenges businesses face is how to say who they are and what they are doing, and for the teams to consistently resonate with that message in their actions, in their communications, and in their lives. So before we go any further, allow me to bring on stage my co-founder, who I'll tell you a secret. She worked at 9 months, started talking at 9 months. No wonder she's still telling people how to say stories and how to communicate. So it's very important. Chesubire Greg, please come on board. The stage is all yours.
I see I will not live down that one of walking early. Hi, everybody. My name is Chesubire, and it's such a joy to be on this show. As always, we have a lot of fun. So kick back, get a cup of tea, get a glass of water, and come and enjoy the conversation. My name is Chesubire. Yes, I walked at 9 months, talked at 9 months, and haven't stopped since many decades later. But what has happened over the years is I have had to learn how to communicate better. It's one thing to talk. It's a completely different thing for people to understand you and to implement what you're talking about. So I am lead storyteller at Akiko Stories, but also co-founder at the Africa MSME Collective. And what we seek to do, especially at Akiko, is to help business leaders execute strategy through communication. A strategy is only a thought or a plan until your teams are able to do it. So that's how we support you. We help you think through your communications. We help you understand what you need to say. And most of all, we help you practice to say it. Back to you, Joe. Hii kiti ni moto sana.
Thank you very much. Please grab a glass of water or something or some yogurt, but the weather is favorable for just a warm glass of water. Thank you very much. To our listeners, our audience, our fans, our tribe, we have been going through a series on communication and storytelling, where it begins from, why it is important as part of your brand book, your brand playbook, as part of your strategy to make sure that you consistently serve the clients that you serve or the target market that you have chosen to play in. And today I would like us to pivot, depending on where you're coming from and when you learned to speak, about culture. You know, this word culture, when we talk about culture, those of us from some certain part of the country, culture comes with issues, culture comes with rules, culture comes with obligations. And you know, culture can be good and can also be challenging. I want us to look at culture from the positive perspective, where it helps us be able to grow our brand into a positive, impactful product or service that benefits the community. Chisubire, before I even dive deep down, when you hear the word culture, you know now you are cross-cultural. When you hear and multicultural and the other all cultural, when you hear the word culture, what comes to mind?
So my definition of culture is a way of life. Very simple. We can go into all these things, but when you say way of life, it covers habits, it covers thought patterns, it covers communal behavior. So it's our way of life as a people. So the culture could be on, like, we have things we call African culture. We also have within our smaller tribal groups, we have cultures. We have cultures around urban behavior and rural behavior. And even in urban, we have peri-urban, and then we have, if you are born on a certain side of the city, it's also economically structured. So culture is really a way of a set of behavior as a people.
A set of behavior as a people. And that set of behavior also resonates in the business place.
Yes.
Storytelling should not only be done by the founder and the marketing team.
Very true.
Storytelling should be done by everyone who is in the business space. You have told us culture is a way of life. It's the habits we develop, the thought patterns, and just daily activities. That means then when you are onboarding your employees or onboarding your teams, it's important that they already come and find a culture of storytelling in the organization.
Yes.
So how important are teams to the storytelling process of the organization?
So many of us prepare our visible teams. So let's say like we're a firm, a legal firm. All our legal aides, our lawyers all know what we do, they can speak about it. The front desk person will know probably a little less than everybody else, but they have a general idea. The people we forget are the ones I call support staff. We assume the guard, we assume the cleaners, we assume the messengers. We think that all they need to know is the company name, location, and maybe who the boss is. And I'll give an example. When you go to an office, how you're treated from the gate determines what you feel about the company. Now, for larger firms, we talk about outsourcing, but remember this conversation is mostly targeted to MSMEs. So we're looking at people who have maybe a maximum of 50 employees. So the guard is probably from a security company, but they're the face of your company. They're the first face you see. Recently, I think it was in February, we booked an Airbnb. A friend of ours was coming to travel, and they were coming for an activity. So when I called the place, because I was like, okay, looks good. When I called the place, the guy said, "You will be met by Joe, and he will have the key, and he will sort you out." So we said, okay. Well, when we got there, do you know who Joe was? The guard. So what they had done, it's a complex of houses. What they had done is, because he's always there during the day when people check in and when people check out, he has become the custodian of their house. Okay. So when you get there, you get to the entrance, say, "I'm looking for Joe." He says, "I am Joe." And you give him your name. He's already been told who to expect and that you're coming to check in, and he will do the basics. He will not receive money. He'll say, "Let me help you settle in. This is your keys." He'll walk you through the house downstairs, what you need to know, and he leaves. And then the owners will come later and do the financial transactions. When you're leaving, he's the one who comes and checks the house. So that guy knows what that company does. The interesting thing, this particular Airbnb is in the same complex where one of the owners works, but the owner doesn't have to come in.
Mhm.
And they even tell you, oh, there's somebody who comes to clean, but you have to organize with the owner. He has full brief of the facility. Now, I would have thought that that would be done by women. No, this thing is run by two guys. But what they have understood is from the point of contact at the gate, the experience they gave you on the phone must be replicated because they were, Yani, it was amazing to call that particular facility. Because I'm like, this is what I want. I wanted special terms, special conditions, late check-ins, early check-ins, late check-outs, those kind of things. I was handled professionally. And then when I got to the gate, the guard, he's in security guard uniform, but he was so professional in how he handled. So storytelling, and I keep saying this, it's not about the words we say. Storytelling includes the experience we give our customers. You know, we're talking about customer experience. Storytelling is a critical part of CX because how the guard treats me tells me how you are, Joe. It tells me who you are. Have you gone to businesses where the guard is rough? And you're like, okay, maybe it's because of a sensitive. Other people say it is normal. It's not normal because the person coming in is coming to buy. They're coming to give you money, and then you're treating them badly, right? If you went to a 5-star hotel and you're treated badly, you just call the manager and complain, right? But if you also go to 5-star hotels, there is a way they treat the concierge, not treat, but the train. The way you get there, even if it is the Uber Alto, the guy comes. In fact, nowadays, because they know these ones are Ubers, they wait a little bit, they give you like 2 minutes, then they come and open your door when they see you have settled, you know? I remember I was going for a meeting at the Serena and it was an amazing experience. I entered with this Alto. The other hotels have gone. You're told, back there. This guy let the guy stop near the front door. He could see I was paying by M-Pesa. He waited. When I was done and I turned, I didn't even get to fully turn to open the door. The door popped open. Good morning, madam. How are you? I hope you've had a good day. Welcome to the Serena. Please go this way, put your bag through the, I put my bag through the scanner, like, good morning, so good to have you back. Back where? Where? And then we went through and then, okay, the bag was done and now we came out. Then I said, I'm looking for this, please go to the reception. In the reception, the guy asked me, who are you going to see? You know, it was a holistic experience. I know that's a 5-star. But can we come and bring our level of 5-star down, which starts by telling our teams what we stand for, what we believe in, and then treating them with enough dignity to not only believe and imbibe or absorb that information, but to become it. That is how storytelling becomes a culture. Because then, even when I come and I see how if the cleaner is cleaning and then they're telling me, lift your feet, I clean her. Yeah, what manners are those? Or you go to smaller shops where the staff are sitting in the corner, you can tell they are gossiping. And they're chewing gum like cows. I mean, it just annoys me. So let me breathe.
Okay, please breathe. There is no one chewing gum on the program, and those experiences actually make you look back and ask yourself, why do we start businesses? A few things I've picked from you. It's important that we talk to everyone and they need to understand what we stand for and what we believe. And when we were talking about storytelling and the verbal and the nonverbal part of it, it took me back to our days in school. I don't know if you did drama or if you were in the club and managed to do nationals and all those other things, all the way including university. Storytelling, the activities that had storytelling always seemed to win. There is a way when you combine the verbal and one powerful reminder that storytelling is a critical part of CX or customer experience, because from the first touch point to the last touch point, you're communicating something, you're telling a story about your product. So at what touch point will your customer engage with either human interaction, machine, or even a supplier who is part of you? I have a question for you, because you've said this is what we stand for and what we believe. There's a lot of hierarchy in business, and the hierarchy sometimes does not allow us as founders to be able to effectively communicate the culture that we would like seen in the organization in terms of communication with, like you put it, there are those who sometimes are forgotten in the organization. Yet everyone has to understand what we stand for and what we believe. Now, in instances where there's a lot of hierarchy involved, how would you recommend that they break this down?
Hierarchy is a personality style. Hierarchy is important to keep things running, but how it runs is a personality style. And I'll give an example. My father and my uncle both ran big institutions. But the one thing I saw them implement was the ability for anybody to connect with them. So my father was running a university, and this was very interesting. Guards, security guards had our home number. Cooks and cleaners had our home number. They knew that if they had a problem, they could stop him and tell him about it. And he would take out a little notebook, write a note, and tell them, I'll deal with it. They knew that if they went to him confidentially, their names would not come out, but whatever they reported would be investigated. And what happened is that there was not a single strike or not a form of civil student unrest or trouble that he didn't get to know about within 6 hours of it happening. There were even instances where the students were planning riots and mischief, and they would meet at night. Now guys will now know how they were sold. They would meet at night to plan. And in the university, by 11, you needed to be in your respective quarters. So they'd meet between 9 and 11. And people never saw the guards. But there was always a call. And I remember one of the worst ones where they were planning just a lot of mayhem. The call came through at midnight, and my dad was out of home by 2:30, picked up all the list, some of the key leaders he needed to have in the conversation, and they were on campus at 4 in the morning in a meeting. You have to choose as a leader to make room for your people. And then you see what they also instituted there is there were discounts for studies if, depending on how long you've worked, you needed to work a certain number of discounts of years, to begin to receive well, not even discount, it was a scholarship. And the longer you worked, the higher the portion of the scholarship was. But if you were on scholarship, you were required to have a higher GPA. So people would be discontinued at 2, but to be on scholarship, you needed a 2.5. And now for us as his children, because we were on scholarship, for me as an individual, I don't know about my siblings, but my demand was a cutoff of 3. Okay? So what that taught me, wherever I am, you have to develop the connection with your teams, number one. You have to spend time and help them understand what it is they do. And I remember many days coming to the gate, and because, see, this guy's always in our house. So the guards were my friends. I'd go and sit at the gate with them and listen to how they responded to inquiries when they came. So where are you going? Yo hapana, yo course hakuna hapa, but enda to reception, watakudirect, and then they direct you to the reception. So you'll come, you'll ask what is there. I'm translating. They'll tell you that course we don't have. Just go to the reception and they'll sort you out. What that did is that it built a culture in those days where the guards could direct you. The cleaners and the ground staff knew where every office was. So if you ask, I'm looking for the office of the dean of hair, they'll tell you down that block, go through this door, What it did, it built in efficiencies, right? But the kitchen staff also have certain leeways because there are things that needed to work. So that's a big organization. So let's bring it down to an MSME. Many of us don't have more than 50 people. And I remember sitting in conversations with senior leaders. So you're sitting with the CEO and the senior leaders. And I asked one group of people, what do you do as a company? And the CEO sat there with it, holding his head like this. Because what they said they did and what they actually did were two different things. So to make storytelling a culture, it means that me as the business owner must, one, be clear about what we are doing and write it down. So I give you a slip of paper that says, you know, the way we talk about AMC, we do this and this and this to achieve that, right? So as the business or leaders, business owners, I must be clear. And I must sing and tell and dance and teach the people what we do consistently. So the reason why storytelling often is not a culture is because as the leader, I am shifting all the time. If today I come and say, Akiko, we work with corporates, then tomorrow I say, no, we've left corporates, work with MSMEs. Then the next day, oh, we've left, what happens to people who work with me? They become confused. So are we a content brand? Are we trainers? Are we confusion? So then if my team member hears about work, they will not know whether it fits. And because I'm confused and maybe I'm erratic because of all my changes, they will not bring work to me. So I remember going to a place where we had a clear thing about what that thing was, we're looking for work. Any work is okay. And these are the parameters. So I went and I got a contract. I mean, the potential to pitch for something. It was a bit outside our wheelhouse, but it had we had the skills in-house to execute that. And in the interim, move into a new segment of the market. I talked with the guys I was working with. It sounded good. I took it to the team meeting. Let me tell you, Joe, I was shot down in front of everybody in such a demeaning way. I never took work back to that company, ever. Because I realized what the boss said and what the boss actually wanted were two different things. I worked elsewhere in a dental practice, and it was very easy to bring people in because we had a clear pricing structure. But I also knew that my boss would make room for people who need treatment but cannot afford it. So what happened after that? I chose to work with those kinds of people. So every project I have, I now work with people who are able to give leeway. Why? Because it builds a culture of listening. So one of the other projects I currently support, we run classes. Somebody can come and say, I can't pay in full. I have a complete blueprint of what the payment plan is, what they must do. So there's a process. So if somebody comes and says, this is where I'm at, I can behave like my boss. I already can tell what will be accepted, what will be rejected. And if I see the one that will be rejected, I can preempt the conversations. So recently what happened is somebody approached and I gave the standard operating procedure. Boss asked me 3 new questions. So I've added those 3 new questions to my vetting list. So the next person who came, because we're in the series of recruiting for a class, The next person who came, I gave them, do this, do this, do this, put it in writing. They put it in writing, screenshot, sent to the boss, got approval. Me, I already know she's approved. You get? So that when we think about systems and processes, we don't think about them from the lens of storytelling. But if my guard is supposed to be able to talk conclusively about me and my business, it says a lot. The other thing is, if my guard at the apple, and then you is like, that is such a big story. Because if I'm treating the guard badly and we're in a common complex, my guests will be mishandled. If I'm treating my staff badly, not paying them properly, not teaching them what we're about, they'll mishandle my clients. So as a business leader, I must be clear. What do we do? If I don't know what I do, let me start with what I do not do. Then that will help me clarify what I do. And how do I want people to feel when they come to my company? And then from there now, I teach my teams, not just the ones who are just underneath me executing work with me, but from the base, from my driver, if I have one, to the guard, the cleaner, the gardener, because those are the people meet first. One of the places, a couple of the places actually I've worked, I used to have line of sight of the gate. So I would watch how guests are treated. If you keep somebody outside the gate, first of all, they hoot, you don't open, then I'd come and go and ask my God, why did you keep Joe at the gate for so long? They'll tell me long stories. I'll be like, no, but as a company, don't let people in who, okay, so then go out with the book. Because I realized we say things, but they interpret them from the lens of where they are. So unless I step into their shoes and I understand the things they go through, I will get people who will call me, the switchboards, we don't have them anymore, but somebody calls in and they say, good morning to you. That is not who I am. But unless I've been around them and I've sat around them and I've explained to the team why we are the way we are, then the culture of telling the story of who we are, what we do, why we exist, the culture of being kind to clients or customers, the culture of cleanliness will not make sense. That's why storytelling is also a culture conversation.
Wow, thank you. Those are very deep insights. Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, our listeners, our fans, our tribes mates, our village mates, and everyone else logged into this conversation. This is the 360-degree brand story, where brands come alive one brush stroke at a time. Chesubri, as we come to the end of this conversation, what I've picked from you is that it is important as MSME owners to know what we stand for and what we believe, have clarity about it, write it down, then develop deep connections with the team. That is the only way then they will translate it from words into actions. And remember, we said it's like drama festival. So it's both verbal and nonverbal. As I'm speaking and I am moving, those things need to resonate. And even the customer looking at my eyes, it needs to resonate. So thank you very much for that. As I bring you on stage to give us your parting shot and what you think is the one thing we need to start doing immediately, what I have picked is that it is important to have a continuous improvement plan in place on your storytelling abilities. One, as the owner of the SME, and then two, for your teams, because we said here at some point we saw, by example, that personality styles come into play. So I'd like, as you give us your parting shot, to speak a bit about the continuous improvement plan. How can MSMEs have a continuous improvement plan on developing the culture of storytelling in their teams? And then the one key thing that you would like us to take away home today. even as we take a break from the stage and get ready for the next act to dance and to sing for this drama festival. Back to you.
Thank you, Joe. You're too funny. The reality is, like you said, if we're not clear about who we are, if we don't understand the impact of our personalities on the business, and let me throw it out there, your business takes on your personality as the owner. If you're multiple partners who start, you will find when you finally find a blend to work, it will be a blend of your personalities. So if you come into our space, Joe and I have very interesting personalities, and our business has those personalities. We also will attract people who will thrive in the space that we are. So if we are mean and finicky, we will attract like, because we will attract people who will feel safe in our space, or we will attract people who need work, but they will become like us. And that's what you must remember. It is easier to be pulled into behavior by mass people than to pull the masses out. So as a business owner, you must, Stephen Covey says it perfectly in 7 Habits for Highly Effective People. The first habit is begin with the end in mind. How do you want people to experience your brand? What need are you meeting? What pain are you mitigating? And then when you have that, you must build to become the place that can deliver that. So coming back to it as a storytelling culture, you want people to understand everything you say. So you have to figure out, what are you saying? Okay? If you bring people on board, they have to have a blueprint of what you're saying. You know, when you go to call centers, they give scripts. So you have to have a script for the business. Now, even when you're building a bot, a chat bot, if you're using AI, I attended a webinar and it blew my mind, because everything the bot tells you has been prepared in advance and programmed into the system. So for storytelling to become embedded and enmeshed in your teams, there has to be a way you teach them. Some of the places I've worked, what we used to do is we would do Friday afternoon sessions. So Friday afternoon, we're not doing client work. We finish client work at noon, have a fabulous lunch, then a learning session. So you must build learning, growth, engagement into the fabric of your business. If you don't want to do Friday afternoon, I know another small company who every Monday, the first 3 hours of the day was a business English class. Why? Because they are a top-notch professional firm, and they found that there is a gap between their international clients and their local team. So they chose to train their team. Instead of saying these guys are difficult, they identified the gap. Now, the team members, you do not know whether it is a CEO who put the document together or which associate. You don't know, because they have invested in building together. And many times when we do these activities, we leave the support staff out. We are the associates sitting together, learning. Why not bring in the guard this week, and the next week bring in the cleaner, and the next week bring in the front desk person, or just bring everybody together on Friday afternoon, have a meal, and let's go. As a leader, you must determine the culture you want to build. And you must not just tell people what to do, but you must model it. So if our logo says we are kind and considerate, I must be the first one who's kind and considerate. If it says we offer top-notch customer service, the guard must offer top-notch customer service. And if he doesn't know how to, I will train him. And this is the thing. If somebody refuses to be trained, mtu akikataa, let them go. Use the performance management system and let them go. In Kenya, our laws are employee heavy. So you can't wake up on a whim as a business owner and fire. You'll be taken to labor, and the stories for labor are insane. But what you must do is ensure that you have documentation of every process you have put into place to support this team member to rise to where you need them to be. Let us not be malicious as business owners. And sometimes we are harsh and we throw people out quickly, yet we are the problem. My fellow business owners, understand, if you have not taught your people to function, think, and act like you cannot judge them if they don't. If you do not have a learning system for your teams, you cannot judge them when they mishandle customers. The culture of storytelling starts with me. It starts with how I deal with my teams. It starts with how I tell them off when they fail, because they will make messes. So if I am nasty to Joe, Joe will be nasty to the next person. But if I come and I say, Joe, this is the mistake, we do the correction, and I restore him with dignity, without a doubt, Joe will do it for the next person. And if Joe goes and is nasty to the next person, I must call him to account. There are no sacred cows in the business. And by that, I mean, Joe can be mean to people and I ignore, but when Jane is mean to people, publicly disciplined. No, we must set one culture around storytelling. So storytelling, like I always say, is not just the marketing stuff. It's how we deal with one another. It's how we talk to one another. It's our etiquette. It's our dress code. It's our thoughts. It's our space. So everything you do tells a story. So if the gate is peeling, the guard is scraggly, badly dressed, the cleaner has broken buckets for cleaning supplies, right there, you're telling the story of your company. And then I come and you want to bill me $1 million, Bob, but the space you are working in is a mess. I have already judged you. Will we always be perfect? No. But the thing we must do as business owners, and this is my part in short to re-emphasize it, you determine the story that's told. So figure out what it is, write it down for clarity, and teach your teams. And then they'll tell the right brand story for you. Back to you, Joe.
Thank you very much, Jesubiri. Figure out the story you want to tell, write it down, then tell it to your teams. Everyone has a story to tell, but in your space as an SME owner, they need to tell your story, or they will tell their own stories, and your story will be lost in translation. So figure out the story that you want your SME, your clients to know. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much, Jesubiri, for those nuggets of wisdom that you've shared with us. This is the 360-degree brand story, where brands come alive one brushstroke at a time. Subscribe to our channel, get in touch with us on our socials, Akiko Story, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter. We are on TikTok. Okay, I need to learn how to do TikTok. Now that I'm doing drama classes, I need to learn how to do TikTok. Anyway, before we go to TikTok, thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. It has been good having this conversation. It has also crystallized some things for me, and I will go and work on them. I will come to you for marking of the script. But ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. 360-degree brand story, hosted by Akiko Stories. Subscribe to our channel. You can send us a message and what else you would like us to talk about in this space. Remember, where brands come alive, one brushstroke at a time. 360 degrees brand story by Akiko Stories, part of the African MSME Collective. Our work is to make sure that every voice counts in the SME space and you do it. Start up right, scale up right, and then be sustainably successful, whichever way you choose to look at it, because now we've been told, determine the story you would like to hear. So until next time, I am Joe Mukoko, your host, and with me on my panel was Jesubere Gray. Have a good evening, have a good morning, have a good afternoon from wherever it is you're logging in from. See you next time. Thank you.